Hi Tracy, how are you?
How are you doing, Jared?
Yeah,
Thank you.
really well, thank you. So here we are for a SmartTalk series with Tracy Angwin, CEO of the Australian Payroll Association. So I've got a few questions for you today.
Hit me up with them.
And I'd just love to get your views on a few different topics.
Sure.
So today, why don't we start with a survey that's recently came out, the 2019 Australian Payroll Association survey. Tell us about it.
It's a big survey. We have around about almost 2,000 employers that respond to that survey. And what we're finding is that, you can get down, it's a 20 or 30 page report, you can get down in the minutiae if you want to. And if I was running payroll teams, I'd want to get there. But just in general, what we're finding is there's a real correlation between, I guess, the bad news stories in payroll and those who are qualified in payroll. So there's still 85%, around about 85% of people who work in payroll don't have the competencies or don't have the proven competencies in payroll, so they don't have those qualifications. Now the problem is, as an employer, we talk to employers all the time and they don't know how much knowledge their payroll people have got oftentimes until they start working, oftentimes till a year after they start working, and oftentimes not until they leave. So a new payroll person will come on board, a new payroll manager, and they'll then start finding this history of problems that they've got. So what we find is, one of the things of the benchmarking survey is, on average, somewhere between two, depending on the size of employer, between 2 and 3 days of payroll training a year. That's just not enough to keep up to date with all the things that go on in payroll.
And how did the payroll staff feel about that? They must feel quite overwhelmed, do they?
Well, I just think that payroll people are really good at just getting it done, getting the job done with the resources that they've got. So I just think that's the mentality. And oftentimes they're working to really tight timetables, and they've got absolutely no time for continuous improvement initiatives, or thinking about compliance, or they just getting the pays out is what takes them the time.
And are you seeing the trend move to supporting the payroll team more and giving them the skills that they need to be more effective?
Yes and no. There's two types of employers. There's employers that really understand that payroll is a function that they have to support, and there's a type of employer that says, you know what, the house isn't burning, no one's complaining, it must be okay.
Yeah.
So, and both, I have concerns about that for obvious reasons. Look, we're working with an employer at the moment, a large employer, and we've been asked to do a review, a compliance and process review on their payroll function. We've found considerable overpayments. Think millions of dollars of overpayments. So sure, the house isn't burning, no one's dying, but they're overpaying millions of dollars a year because the calculations, not just in the pay office, but it's everything that happens up until the pay office, are wrong. So you normally hear about underpayments, but this employer is making significant overpayments. So we always want to give payroll teams support to improve the process, but the problem is a lot of employers just think payroll's about getting the payout. So if you think that that's what payroll's about, you've sadly mistaken.
Yeah, exactly. And I sort of see a lot of that with the work that I do. When you've got the operational workforce and line managers and all of those functions that are pre-payroll, they're all the things that need to be accurate to make sure that the right information actually goes into pay.
It's one of my absolute pet hates when companies blame the technology. Oh, it was the technology's fault that all these problems happened. Well, humans had to put that technology together, make decisions on how the awards are interpreted. And there's a set and forget mentality that I think is very dangerous. And so if that's your payroll, I'd be concerned.
Yeah. So the highlight for you for the survey this year was really the importance of the skills.
I think so. Everything comes back to skills. Every time I was talking to a colleague the other day, when there was a big underpayment in the Fairfax press, and much bigger than sort of anyone had expected. And we were talking about this, about how there's the news love a bad news story about payroll. It's all about ripping off workers and all the rest of it. You never see, and technology is always blamed, but you never see a headline that says, company A under-taxed or over-taxed or incorrectly taxed someone. It's always about the interpretation.
Yes.
So the problems haven't necessarily happened in the pay office. The problems have happened out there in the working world, and with the interpretation and with the data and how the information has got to payroll. So payroll happens well before someone enters timesheets into a payroll.
Yes. Yeah. Thanks,
That makes
Tracy.
sense.
It does. It does indeed. And if someone wants to get a copy of the survey,
It's not freely available on our website. All our members have access on the members portal, but if you want a copy, just give our office a call or drop us a line. We'd be happy to get a copy.
excellent.
No worries.
Thank you, Tracy.
Pleasure.